Moving forward, an interesting matchup, if not. The college football traveler in me thinks this is a very interesting matchup. We got NC State visiting the UConn Huskies. On the docket here, I have UConn listed as a 14.5-point favorite, but NC State is, in fact, a 14.5-point favorite in this game. The Huskies are not being spotted 14.5 points. The over-under here is 46.5. Game kicks off at 7:30 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. This is the debut for one Brennan Armstrong and Robert Anae. Brennan Armstrong, quarterback at Virginia, coming over. He transfers in. Robert Anae comes from Syracuse. Now, his numbers didn't really... They don't jump off the page when you looked at Syracuse, but you have to think about the relative talent level that Syracuse recruits to and uses up there. And I thought he did a really nice job with the Orange. I liked the offense that they had. It utilized a whole bunch of different things. And the nice thing is it was adaptive. So when they had a quarterback that could run the heck out of the ball, they ran the heck out of the ball. And when they didn't, they threw it more and ran with the tailback. His name's escaping me. 2022 is so far out of my mind now in this. But I like him a lot better than Tim Beck. I'll just say that. I thought Beck really wasted Devin Leary's potential last year, the past couple of years, really. There's a lot of talent on that NC State offense. I don't think Tim Beck got the most out of it. So I like the hire. I like Robert and I'm interested to see what he does with Brennan Armstrong, who 4,000-yard passer in Charlottesville. And then Tony Elliott comes in as head coach and whatever he does with his staff and just ruins it. Like, Armstrong is one of the least effective quarterbacks in the country last year, and he didn't just forget how to play football. That was a coaching thing. So now with better coaching and a better system around him, I'm really interested to see if we can get Brennan Armstrong back on track here. UConn, at their quarterback position, surprising depth. You have Joe Fagnano. He is the starter. He was the one who was announced as the starter. You have Taquan Roberson. I'm sorry, I'm botching these right now. Taquan Roberson, who came down from Penn State. He was a backup that tried to play against Iowa and was just absolutely hapless. So he transfers down to UConn, a little bit better, I think, competition for him. And then Zion Turner, who was a freshman last year, dynamic athlete. He's listed third. So they do have some options up there in Connecticut. But I don't know if the Huskies were nearly as good as the record last year said. It was a good story to see them in a bowl game, but their two big wins on the season were over Fresno State, who did not have Jake Haener, and if you saw Fresno with and without Jake Haener, completely different football teams. And then Liberty and, Hugh Freeze was already taking the job at Auburn. Like, Liberty had fully phoned it in. This was before they got just smoked by New Mexico State as well. So, those two wins, I'm not going to say they don't count, but they definitely come with caveats. You do have to mention that a little bit. I don't think we're going to see NC State money unless it's 14 on the nose or less. Again, we got 15, 14.5, depending on where you look. I make this NC State minus 18. What do you make it?
Yeah, first I'll just say, Brett, I give you credit for always going in on all the players' names. I love it. I don't even try because I'm going to mess them all up. I just stick to the numbers because mask that universal language. I still stumble over that sometimes, but these names, they're tough, man.
Well,
so I give you credit there.
I'm not looking forward to talking about the UMass quarterback. I have not attempted to pronounce it since, so I'm not going to try here, but just it's a tricky one.
I just say QB1, man. My numbers have this as NC State minus 15. I have NC State power rated number 40 overall with the nation's number 18 projected defense. That's second best in the ACC behind only Clemson, but only the number 65 projected offense. Like you talked about some of the concerns we have there and maybe improvement this year. UConn is power rated number 116 for me with the number 100 power rated defense and the number 126 projected offense out of 133 FBS teams this year. So the defense is the better unit for both of these teams, but NC State does have the advantage on both sides of the ball. UConn does have the home field, like you talked about, and this is interesting, getting a Power 5 team like an NC State to go up to UConn. So that's interesting and not negligible, but even accounting for that, still like NC State. From a schedule perspective, UConn is at Georgia State next week, so their focus should be on the Wolfpack this week. NC State, though, they welcome Notre Dame to Raleigh in week 2, so NC State just needs to guard against, taking this Husky team for granted, especially, like I said, considering this game is in East Hartford, Connecticut. I had to look that up because I was like, Stores, right? That's where Connecticut is. That's where they always talk about basketball in Stores. It's in East Hartford is where they play football for Connecticut. Bottom line, my numbers have NC State minus 15 on the road, which equates to an 86% win expectancy for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, you talk about the interesting dynamic of going on the road. You know, the atmosphere only gets so rowdy when we're talking about Rentschler Field, if that is still the name of the stadium up there. One that I have not been to. I've been to 108 FBS stadiums, and Rentschler Field is actually not one of them.
Got to get there.
Yeah, well, maybe for this game. It'll certainly be more packed than usual. I don't know if they're talking about a sellout. It's not really a regional rival. I don't know how often they really host these kind of ACC teams, though. But, you know, NC State survived just a wild crowd at East Carolina. I was actually at that game. It was so hot during the day, that little peek behind the curtain on that, the ticketing machines actually went down, and they couldn't scan people's phones. So they just started letting people in as long as they could show that they had a barcode. Wow. So we had students texting their friends all their passes, and the stadium was 3,000 over capacity. I have pictures and videos of these. Like, it was bad. The concourse and everything was a log jam. It was like 97 degrees and humid. Awesome atmosphere, though. Like, this was a sweet game. I had a lot of fun at it, and it was a really close game. Actually, East Carolina should have won, but they shanked a field goal at the end to lose it. Yep. But when you talk about Rentschler Field, I'm not here to just kick UConn fans, but, like, we're not talking about rowdy dowdy. Like, it's not the same place. And if you're a big power team going into these small, feisty teams that have, well coached and some good athletes, and then you walk into an atmosphere that is just sleepy, situationally, that's a nightmare to me. You can come out flat, and you could find yourself on the ropes in a game that you shouldn't be. That's why I'm not really excited about laying over 2 touchdowns. Your numbers are also not really excited about laying more than 2 touchdowns there, it seems.